My girlfriend said, "You're lucky I chose you." I played along, recorded her rants, and sent them to everyone. She lost it all in a day. Every one of her self-important outbursts found its way to her boss, her friends, and her family. She truly lost everything in a single day. I'm a 29-year-old man, and this story will be quite lengthy, so perhaps grab a snack before we begin. I was with Chloe for nearly 3 years, and we moved in together about 18 months ago. Initially, things seemed all right, I suppose. She was charming, amusing, a bit intense, but I attributed that to passion. We had enjoyable times, traveled, and met each other's families. My mother, with her kind heart, even started referring to Chloe as the daughter she never had. Little did any of us realize, subtle cracks were already appearing. These were minor issues, like her becoming moody if I didn't immediately drop what I was doing to assist her, even if I was in the middle of work. Or if I suggested a restaurant, she would simply dismiss it, saying, "Oh, you won't like that. You always say you do, but then you don't." It was always about her. Always. Then came the declaration, "You're fortunate I chose you." We were having a trivial disagreement. The details escape me now. Probably something about me wanting to watch my favorite team play versus her desire to binge a reality show. I was attempting to express that my own needs felt completely disregarded, and she just looked at me with absolute seriousness and stated, "Listen, Liam, you're lucky I even picked you. Most men would do anything to be with me, so you should be thankful." A chill ran through me. For a moment, I nearly chuckled, assuming it was a jest. It wasn't. Her expression was utterly earnest. That's when something shifted within me. Not in an explosive manner, but more like a quiet, unsettling click. I nodded, forced a slight smile, and mumbled something like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm just tired." From that instant, I began to play a part. The appreciative partner, the one who was lucky. And I started truly paying attention. Every condescending comment, every entitled demand, each instance she disparaged me to elevate herself, I noticed. I observed how she treated service staff, how she spoke of her less successful acquaintances, how she manipulated situations to her own advantage. It was a masterclass in self-absorption, and I was her unwitting pupil. I began recording, not every single exchange, just the significant parts. The moments where she would launch into a 10-minute tirade about my supposed incompetence, or how her boss owed her a raise because she was the only one who genuinely accomplished anything, or how her friend Sarah was simply envious of her life. My phone, discreetly placed, became my constant companion. The audio quality wasn't always perfect, but the content was invaluable. Pure, unadulterated self-importance. I didn't have a complete plan yet, but the seed was planted. I was no longer interested in being grateful. I was no longer content with being chosen. I was finished being the quiet recipient of her superiority complex. Update 1. Things have certainly been interesting. My feigned appreciation seems to have emboldened Chloe. Her sense of entitlement has reached new heights. It's as if she perceives my compliance as an invitation to go all out. Last month, my grandmother passed away. It was sudden and frankly devastating for me. My grandmother was the kindest, most generous person I knew. She left me a modest inheritance, not enough to change my life completely, but sufficient to pay off my student loans and make a decent down payment on a place of my own someday. Around $35,000. I was, understandably, quite emotional. Chloe's reaction was not particularly sympathetic. Her first question, literally the day after the funeral, was, "So what are you going to do with the money? We could really use a new sofa, and my car needs new tires." She said "we," as if she was half of my inheritance. When I stammered something about wanting to pay off my loans, she scoffed, "Loans, Liam, that's so boring. This is a chance to upgrade our life. Besides, you can pay those off later. Think about how much better our apartment would look with that sectional I saw at Home Haven." I felt sick. This wasn't even about our life. It was about her life with my money. I managed to avoid the sofa issue, promising to investigate it, but she kept returning to it. Every time we passed a furniture store, she would point out things she desired, always with the assumption that my inheritance was simply waiting to be used for her wishes. She started making plans, discussing our new television, our fancy coffee machine. It was truly unbelievable. Then there was the employment situation. Chloe had always been somewhat lackadaisical at work, constantly complaining about her boss, Mr. Harrison, and her colleagues. She works in marketing, and apparently, she alone possesses true vision. A few weeks ago, she was overlooked for a promotion she was convinced she deserved. She returned home furious, ranting for an hour about how Mr. Harrison was an imbecile, and her co-worker Brenda was a sycophant who only advanced because she was close with the higher-ups. This particular rant was especially valuable. She meticulously detailed how she felt she was superior, how she had been carrying the team, and how unjust it was. She even suggested, and I quote, that if Mr. Harrison didn't recognize her worth soon, she would ensure he regretted it. Oh, she regretted that statement, all right. Not immediately, of course. I allowed her to vent, offering calm nods and a few, "That's so unfair, dear." Inside, my mind was racing. I now had hours of audio. Her complaints about my grandmother's death money, her disparaging remarks about her boss and colleagues, her general disdain for anyone who wasn't her. The pieces were beginning to align. I started organizing the audio files, labeling them by date and topic. Inheritance Rant 1, Boss Rant 2, Friends Are Jealous Rant 3. I even began transcribing some of the more egregious quotes. It felt meticulous, almost clinical, and that's precisely how I wanted it to feel. No emotion, just raw data. Update 2. The past few weeks have been a whirlwind of subtle manipulation and escalating demands from Chloe. She has been strongly advocating for us to relocate to a more expensive apartment. Not because our current one is too small, but because it doesn't reflect her aspirations, her exact words. She even started looking at places far beyond our budget, confidently stating, "We'll just use some of your inheritance for the deposit. It's an investment in our future, Liam." My future apparently involved subsidizing her extravagant fantasies. I would nod, say, "Let me think about it," and then secretly marvel at her audacity. Every time she brought it up, I would record. Every time she complained about her current life not meeting her standards, I would record. Then came the dinner party. Chloe decided to host a small gathering with her family. Her parents, Richard and Beverly, and her younger sister, Olivia. She wanted to impress them, naturally. To achieve this, she decided I needed to step up. This meant me doing all the cooking, cleaning, and essentially serving as her personal assistant for the evening. I agreed, of course, with that same calm smile. Before they arrived, she cornered me in the kitchen. "Liam," she began, her voice dripping with condescension, "I need you to understand something. My family is very important to me, and they're going to be evaluating you tonight. Make sure you don't embarrass me, and remember you're lucky to be here with my family. Most men would kill for this opportunity." She emphasized "my" and "this opportunity" as if I were being granted an audience with royalty. That was it. The final, perfectly articulated piece of entitlement. The cherry on top of her self-aggrandizing creation. The last recording I needed. I just stared at her, held her gaze, and gave her a small, tight smile. "Wouldn't dream of it, Chloe," I said. "I know how important appearances are." The dinner party was a blur of her taking credit for my cooking, subtly putting me down with backhanded compliments. Liam's a great cook when he puts his mind to it, which isn't always, and dominating the conversation with stories about her own achievements, often exaggerated. I played my part, the attentive, appreciative boyfriend. I poured the wine, cleared the plates, and listened to her grand pronouncements about her future empire. But the real work began that night after everyone left. I stayed up meticulously reviewing all the audio. I snipped, edited, and arranged. I created separate compilations, one for her boss, Mr. Harrison, with all her derogatory comments about him and the company, one for her parents, Richard and Beverly, highlighting her general disdain for lesser people and her constant demands for more, and one for her friends, Sarah and Olivia, Chloe's sister, featuring her backstabbing comments and jealous remarks about them. I even included the "You're lucky I chose you" and "You're lucky to be here" lines, just for good measure. I cross-referenced details, the exact dates of her rants about Brenda, the specific amount of money she wanted for my inheritance, the brand of sofa she was eyeing. Small, specific details that would make it undeniable. This wasn't some quick, emotional outburst. This was a calculated, deliberate unraveling. I found Chloe's boss's email address, pretty easy to find on the company website. I found her parents' emails in an old group chat she'd accidentally added me to, and Sarah and Olivia's emails were already in my contacts. The morning after the dinner party, while Chloe was still asleep, dreaming of her new life funded by my inheritance, I sent the emails. One to Mr. Harrison with the subject line, regarding Chloe, last name and workplace conduct. One to Richard and Beverly, a candid look at Chloe's true feelings. And one to Sarah and Olivia, just so you know what she really thinks. Each email contained a brief neutral explanation. I felt it was important to share these recordings as they reveal a pattern of behavior that I believe you should be aware of. No emotional commentary, no accusations, just the raw, unedited audio clips. I even included a short transcript of the most damning quotes in each email, just to ensure they immediately understood the gist. Then I blocked Chloe on everything: phone, social media, email. I packed a small bag with essentials, my laptop, and my important documents, my student loan details, my bank statements, my grandmother's will, everything I needed to start fresh. I left a note on the kitchen counter. I'm not grateful. I'm gone. Beneath the note, I left a small, tarnished silver locket, a gift from my grandmother, Era, the same locket Chloe had once dismissively called cheap, and suggested I exchange for something nicer to match her aesthetic, a quiet statement that I wasn't leaving anything truly valuable behind for her to claim. I called a friend, Mark, who lives an hour away, and explained the bare essentials. He immediately offered his couch. I left before Chloe woke up. The apartment was quiet. The silence felt like a deep, cleansing breath. Update 3. It's been a whirlwind 3 days. That's all it took for the first signs to appear. I'm at Mark's place now, just trying to process everything. The phone calls started almost immediately after I sent the emails. Not from Chloe, though. She probably woke up, saw the note, and then started checking her phone. The first call was from Mr. Harrison. He left a voicemail. His voice was grim but professional. Liam, this is Mr. Harrison from company name. I've received your email. I need to speak with you urgently regarding Chloe, last name. Please call me back as soon as possible. He sounded like he'd aged 10 years. Then came a text from Olivia, Chloe's sister. Liam, what the actual expletive is this real? Did she really say all that about me and Sarah? Her texts were rapid fire, a mix of disbelief, anger, and betrayal. Around lunchtime, my phone started, ringing incessantly with calls from unknown numbers. I figured it was Chloe trying to get through from other phones or friends' phones. I let them go to voicemail. I didn't want to talk to her. Not yet. The real show started in the late afternoon. Chloe finally got through to Mark's phone, which she somehow knew. Mark, bless his heart, put her on speaker. Her voice was pure, unadulterated rage. Liam, what the hell did you do? My parents are calling me. Mr. Harrison just emailed me saying I'm on paid administrative leave pending an investigation. He said he's reporting me to HR for gross misconduct. And Sarah and Olivia have blocked me. You ruined my life, you manipulative psychopath. She was screaming, genuinely screaming. Mark looked at me, wide-eyed. I just sat there sipping my lukewarm coffee, a calm I hadn't felt in years settling over me. There was a tiny tremor in my hand as I lifted the mug, a small physical manifestation of the adrenaline. But outwardly, I was composed. Your life, I asked, my voice surprisingly even. Chloe, you chose to say those things. You chose to treat people that way. I just shared your choices. But you recorded me. That's illegal. I'll sue you. You can't just do that. Actually, I replied, in this state, as long as one party is aware of the recording, it's perfectly legal. The exact use of it, that's always a gray area. But I was fully aware of our conversations. You literally gave me all the rope I needed to hang you with your own words. The truth was, I'd done my research, but I knew it wasn't a foolproof legal shield. Still, I wasn't going to let her see any doubt. There was a choked gasp on the other end, followed by a torrent of incoherent threats and insults. She called me every name imaginable. You're a monster, a pathetic loser. No one will ever love you. I just listened, letting her exhaust herself. When there was a pause for breath, I spoke again. Chloe, your entitlement knows no bounds. You genuinely believed you were above consequences. You wanted my inheritance for your sofa. You trashed your colleagues, your boss, your own sister. You told me I was lucky to be chosen by you. Well, I chose not to be grateful anymore. I chose to show everyone exactly who you are. I hate you! You'll regret this. You'll be alone forever. Maybe, I said, a genuine smile finally touching my lips. But I won't be alone with you. And for that, I'm truly grateful. Then I hung up. Mark was gaping. Dude, he said, that was savage and oddly satisfying. Later that day, Olivia called me. She was still upset but also relieved. Liam, I can't believe it. I always had a feeling she was like that, but I never imagined. She's been so awful to Sarah too. And our parents are just speechless. My dad actually said, "We raised her better than this." Thank you, I guess, for showing us. It sounded like the family dynamic was going to be interesting, to say the least. I also received a text from Sarah, Chloe's friend. Liam, I'm so sorry. I always thought you were too good for her. Thank you for opening my eyes. She really did talk so much trash about me. If you ever need anything, seriously. A small victory, but a victory nonetheless. As for Mr. Harrison, I haven't heard back directly since his initial voicemail, but Chloe's frantic call confirmed she was on administrative leave. That's usually the first step before actual termination. I imagine her professional reputation is in tatters, especially in her relatively niche marketing field. I feel light, like a massive weight has been lifted. There's a lingering sadness, a residue of the emotional investment I had, but it's overshadowed by a sense of quiet triumph. I didn't get angry, I didn't yell. I just collected data and let her own words do the talking. The consequences were natural. She dug her own grave with her constant stream of self-absorbed chatter. Final update. It's been approximately 3 weeks since the event, and roughly a month and a half since I began this long game. Life has been surprisingly calm, though not without its interesting developments. Chloe has continued her attempts to contact me, but I've kept her blocked. She's tried texting from different numbers, sending me furious emails from new accounts, and even trying to reach out through mutual acquaintances. The messages are a mix of threats, desperate apologies, that ring hollow, and continued accusations. She still blames me for everything, still insists I'm a psychopath and a loser. It's fascinating, in a morbid way, to observe someone so incapable of self-reflection. She hasn't learned a thing, and I don't think she ever will. That's her problem, not mine. I heard through Olivia, who I've actually become pretty good friends with now, strangely enough, that Chloe was officially terminated from her job a week after the administrative leave. Apparently, HR couldn't ignore the recordings, especially the parts where she detailed her contempt for company leadership and colleagues. Her former boss, Mr. Harrison, even confirmed to Olivia that Chloe had been making some pretty wild demands for her severance package, claiming emotional distress, which just further soured any goodwill. She's been struggling to find a new job. In the marketing world, reputations are everything, and a story like this spreads quickly, especially if Mr. Harrison is quietly giving "do not rehire" references. Olivia also mentioned that Chloe is currently staying with a distant cousin, Brenda, a woman she used to subtly mock for her boring life. Chloe's parents, Richard and Beverly, initially tried to mediate, but when Chloe started demanding they pay for her emotional damages and legal fees, to sue me, they finally cut her off. Olivia said her dad told Chloe, "We've given you every opportunity, but your actions speak for themselves. We're not enabling this anymore." That's got a sting for someone who expected a lifetime of parental bailout. The social consequences have been just as severe. Sarah and the others want nothing to do with her. I've even seen a few passive-aggressive posts from them about toxic friendships on social media. Chloe is basically isolated. As for me, I'm doing great. I used my inheritance, money to pay off every single one of my student loans. That feeling of being debt-free? Incredible. It's like a financial weight has been lifted. I'm still at Mark's place for now, saving up for a down payment on my own apartment. I've been looking at places. Nothing fancy, just a small, comfortable spot that's mine. No talk of our future or our new sofa, just my future. There was one slightly awkward moment last week. One of Chloe's casual acquaintances, Greg, whom I barely knew, messaged me. He was clearly trying to fish for drama, saying, "Heard things. Got wild with Chloe. Are you really that ruthless?" I just replied, "Sometimes doing the right thing means making difficult choices. She made her own bed." He didn't respond after that. It was a small reminder that not everyone would see me as the hero, but I honestly don't care. I know my reasons. The experience taught me a lot. It taught me to trust my instincts, to recognize warning signs early, and to never, ever be afraid, to protect myself. I also learned that justice, when executed calmly and methodically, can be incredibly satisfying. Not because I revel in someone else's misery, but because it feels like a necessary rebalancing. Chloe genuinely believed she was untouchable, that her entitlement was a shield. I just happened to be the one who finally called her bluff, using her own words against her. I'm dating again, casually. Nothing serious, just enjoying meeting new people. And I'm incredibly aware now, if someone starts with even a hint of that self-important, "you're lucky to be with me" vibe, I'm out fast. I have a zero-tolerance policy for that kind of nonsense. Life isn't perfect, but it's mine again. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm truly in control of it. The grateful boyfriend is no more. Long live the free man. What do you all think? Has anyone else dealt with a narcissist like Chloe? How did you handle it? I'm always open to hearing your stories and advice.